Strap in, gamers, because we are about to actually go down this very slippery slope. According to Antonio Gramsci, in the logic of late-stage capitalism, the culturally hegemonic neoliberal ideology manufactures the consent of the subaltern. Or for our purposes in this video, that gosh darned SE. Now that they're on top and going and doing the exact same thing World of Warcraft has done for years before, all of those mounts are going to be in the cash shop. We have to buy that gosh darn baby Kotick. A brand new yacht. You're beside the other yacht, which is beside the other yacht. You know the point. In this video, I'm actually going to take the time to explore both sides of it, the pros and the cons of this cruise chaser mount. While I know that a video where if I went on a spiraling rant, I would probably garner me far more views, AdSense revenue, and clout, because we know that that is how you actually get shown on videos on stream. And if you've been here for a while, you know, if you've been on this channel for a bit, that I rarely dive into things that would actually get me views and ahead in life. Excuse me now as I download Asmongold streams or Rich Campbell streams and then repost them directly onto YouTube. Oh yes, Daddy Zach, give me that money. I could do a reaction video to his reaction video about this mount, and so that we could have a reaction video to that reaction, and then we could have reactionception. Jokes aside, I just like to keep it real, and I really do miss when YouTube wasn't seen as some big business entity with business capital and corporations and big organizations and all this BS. Like, what the fuck? It was just a bunch of nerds vibing over video games that have genuine passion. I don't even know what I have come into at this point. A more moderate opinion rather than flinging out the, oh, you're funding Bobby Kotick's 9,001th yacht. And yes, that's over 9,000. There are real pros and cons to this, and this situation isn't fully black or white. There is more nuance to it than that. For the record, you're right. I am heavily opinionated on this. But what that means is, like, I'm opinionated, but that doesn't mean that I'm stuck on one side, like this is purely good or this is purely evil. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So going through the pros and cons one by one, the first one is that I am so insanely glad that this is not a PvP reward. Okay, maybe I get that it's maybe a little bit controversial to say, but I made a video explaining my concern over PvP rewards, and I am not walking that back in any capacity. I feel the way I feel about it, and while I don't intend or want to offend anyone, that's not something I'm gonna apologize for. I feel that way genuinely. If this was the PvP mount, I'd be really sad, honestly. PvP rewards for all intents and purposes are, to me, and to many other players, are something very inaccessible for a ton of reasons I poke in that video. So this mount being in the shop, I'm gonna say it. At least it's available for me, my sister, my boyfriend, my friends. Like, this is something that we can actually get and purchase. PvP? I'm sorry, that may as well not exist. That may as well not even exist. It's like, take this PvP armor set with the fur. This is like a badass fucking cool set. Like, this is truly fucking badass. I want it. I wish this was in the Mog Station, not PvP, because honestly, I can't access it. It's in PvP, and I am actually really bitter about this. This is something that I'm trying to not show the bitterness in my fucking content, but it's like, this is actual genuinely like the stuff that makes me mad with 14. It's like, wow, this is like a really cool set that I could actually use on a fucking healer that isn't a fucking robe. Oh my god, you can bet that I'd pay $50 for that armor, absolutely, with the amount of hours that I pay in this game. To be honest, that is like my aesthetic. I love it. I love it from top to bottom. It gets me into kind of a tangential argument, which is the consumer thing. Asmongold, I watched his video, went on about talking about consumers with Funko Pops and their eyes going big like a pug and whatever else when merchandise is shown, and I know some people like that, but I feel like because I'm not adamantly against this mount being in the cash shops, that people will lump me and other people that buy this mount into this category. An actual articulate argument on consumption in games and blah 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 would take way longer than this video to go over. There are literally tons of textbooks, volumes of textbooks, academic literature on that topic, but the fact is that there is a lot of power in products that you can obtain in game. Like, I will seriously buy an item in 14 before I will buy something in real life. In fact, being super fucking blunt with you, my stream setup, which I have been working on in the background here, when it's done, you're gonna see a lot of merch, quote unquote, a lot of merch. Some of them are in fact Funko Pop boxes. Here's the turnaround, literally. They are empty ones that I turned around because my sister bought Funko Pops and was just throwing out the boxes. See, I don't have enough junk for a streamer setup, so yes, I basically literally took her garbage and put it on my windowsill and turned it around. Yes, really, I'm not joking. But why I would buy something in-game is because I play 14 almost all day, every day. I talk about 14 on this channel. I've been programming a website for months now with custom tooling from the base up with no one's help and no investors, no bullshit, because I love this game so much. And that's about to be launched. Like, I'm actually terrified. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But like, you don't do that if you don't love it. So it's easy for me to see something like this and be like, quote unquote, this is an investment into my endless hours of time in game. It is also an investment into my channel in general, into my community, and hopefully enhances the content that I can produce in future streams. Especially after the pandemic, I'm gonna be blunt with everyone. Like, if you followed my story, you know that I've been through the fucking ringer. Like, I like talk to people and they're like, oh my god, you're still around, and I'm like, yes, I am. And they're like, oh, I thought that you'd be dead. I'm like, oh, that's nice, okay. But the fact of the matter is, I don't really have much money, and I have truly been shit on by life in all regards, and there's not even been a single flicker of light of reprieve. So something like $30 on something like in real life like a pizza is a big deal to me, but I can justify it as an in-game purchase because I see it as like an investment. Which gets into the second pro. We get to help fund the game that we love, thinking about it like a donation to the developers where we are given a reward item in return. Final Fantasy XIV Patreon when? So this is going to be anonymous, so that's why I'm okay sharing this, but I've gone to a family physician, the same one my entire life, and she's had her own clinic in the past. Now she's moved into shared clinics for a variety of reasons, way out of scope here. Guess what I recently learned? And this is like a real fucking story. The clinic shareholders, people who are mostly in things like real estate business, so not even close to the medical world, like never did research and blah blah blah, like they're in real estate, have decided, these shareholders have decided she's not making enough money for the clinic. And we're talking about a medical doctor doing family care practice, MD, for literally decades, isn't bringing in enough money. Now she's been forced to leave the clinic. Welcome to fucking planet Earth, where even if you're an MD family physician serving the community for decades, you are going to get fucked. Are we having fun yet? I can make the joke of when are we going to get a Final Fantasy XIV Patreon, but the devs are a business and they can't exactly just open up a Patreon. That wouldn't really be a good look. Other reasons, I'm sure. So instead, when they want to further funding, they offer incentives such as this mount. See, the idealistic young child in me wants to pretend that we're not dealing with business here, but at the end of the day, we are. It's important for the investors and key shareholders and stakeholders to see a constant gain in revenue. Even stagnation is considered gross. Even worse, what Blizzard is going through with a decline, I would not want to be a part of the team delivering the news to the investors. And I truly, genuinely believe a lot of them aren't even in the loop, and so they like go to these meetings, find out, and then they go, what the after the fact. I mean, there's a reason why some of the wording and some of the documentation is, in my opinion, shady from Blizzard. So when I, as an adult with awareness of how people act in C14, I know that they need to make more money out of our entire project. Or our entire project, our world, a world that I have invested almost a decade of time into, is gonna go poof. Remember WildStar, that game? I'm still bitter over that. What about Firefall? Still bitter over that too. There's many others, but those are the two that pop out the most to me because those meant something to me. I really liked healing. Like Spellslinger Chua was my shit as a healer. I loved it. But I don't want to add 14 to the list of dead games that I loved. But one thing that I will say is thankfully the money does get circulated in most part back to 14 to allow more content to be made. Thank God for that. Another pro is that yes, this is an original model mount. I get it, true. But 14 is filled with original model mounts. This is the standard in 14. It's a short pro here because it's pretty obvious to anyone who played 14 for more than a few hours. Like the best mount in my opinion is the Landwaffle, and I get it. This is totally an opinionated thing. And I'm not going to apologize for my opinion, and neither should you if you disagree. It's our opinions, and totally do that. So when I see a new mount added, yeah, A11S was a great progression Savage raid back in the day. It triggers all my nostalgia feelings. I love it, and back in the day that was the shit. The reality is this is just one of the new models of mounts in a game swimming with new models. Now, if it was Blizzard where all the in-game mounts were basically retextures in my opinion, and the cash shop ones were the cool new models in my opinion, okay, now I care. Now I'm actually mad. Now for the cons, and we're going to be, as the children say, blazing it through, because I know people don't like that long of a video. If it's over 15 minutes, no one fucking clicks it. First up is the slippery slope fallacy and Bobby Kotick's millionth yacht. But is it really the slippery slope fallacy, or is it really just a slippery slope? You see, people go back and forth with, oh, it's actually slippery slope, oh, that's a fallacy, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's almost like when people use the word gaslighting and then people meme on it saying, oh, that's not actually gaslighting, but when it actually is impacting someone's cognitive perceptions and making them question their reality. People really overthink things and use things wrong, don't they? But this is one case where it's like, could it be the slippery slope fallacy? We have factually seen this happen in World of Warcraft. It's just like, even Asmongold cited how old WoW they began to introduce mounts slowly and people were okay with it. After all, you boil a frog slowly, not quickly. But the fact of the matter is, that is a slippery slope in that instance, and that's a provable one. But in this instance, give an inch, take a mile is a solid rule of thumb, but it's not always the case. And cash shops have been a thing in 14 for a long while now. The big whale mount, fitting, huh? For the whale for the whales? Anyone remember? I bought that back in the day too, way before I started YouTube. Yeah, I think that this isn't going to be a recurring pattern. I'm sorry. I just don't think it is. We haven't seen it with the 14 community yet. Now, if you're talking about the lunar whale though, because that does pop out in my mind, because we had some charlatan on Twitter spouting nonsense about how 14 is just as bad or whatever, but that mount was a gift for players who chose to pay money to support the 14 developers because of the completely 100% free Virtual Fan Fest. It should be noted that it also was on sale for reduced cost during the Fan Fest, and it is pretty much still able to be purchased at any time you want. BlizzCon, with its monstrous cost and significantly larger array of offerings that are only available during BlizzCon, and fuck you if you missed them, can honestly eat its heart out. StarCraft Reinhardt is a nice skin that I will never have. Zaddy. Next con is that it costs money, and a decent chunk too. Realistically, that's going to be about the cost of a Steam summer sale game. Like, you can pick up a ton of games on Steam that are like super cheap. I don't think I need to elaborate this, it is expensive. Fact. My next con are that the bourgeoisie are coming to annihilate us all. According to Antonio Gramsci, in The Logic of Late-Stage Capitalism, the culturally hegemonic neoliberal ideology manufactures the consent of the subaltern. I'm just kidding, I just wanted to say the ContraPoints quote again, I'm sorry everyone. The next con, I don't even know what to call it, if it's a con, if it's a pro. I'm putting it in con because, yeah, A11S, that was the shit back in the day. That was a fun fucking raid. That was a good raid. And it being given out as a cash shop mount, not as an in-game achievement, it does actually kind of rub me the wrong way. That's why I'm in con with this one. It's like, ugh, it was iconic. Okay, now we are talking about something that... This is my last con, and oh my god, I have so much that I want to say about this. Lest this become a 92-hour long rant video, I'm going to restrain myself. The question is, where are the rewards for major achievements like unlocking all relic weapons for all jobs, for instance? For real though, for real. As someone who actually does do all of that completionist stuff in 14 and has gotten the relic weapons, you can see on my channel the proof like months ago, I want some recognition for all of this insanity, like completionist stretch goal content. I see badass things like this and I'm like, give me this, something like this, as a reward for completing this completionist content. Yet there wasn't a single reward for getting all of the relic weapons for Shadowbringers, and that's going to require you to obviously get all jobs at 80. That's going to require you to do some pretty extreme grinds for all the jobs and all the associated quests, all the maintenance for the jobs, blah blah blah. That's a huge achievement, and that is a huge time sink, and I am actually really proud of it, but there is no reward in game. Which then I see something like this and I'm like, come on guys, please, please. So yeah, new mount, I do love it. I bought it, and in spite of what people might say, I don't apologize for it. It's something that I saw as buying an investment in a world I play in a world that I make content for, whether it be streaming soon, YouTube content, obviously. I'm not going to apologize for it. It's something that I did. But just because I bought it doesn't mean that I think that it was necessarily the best way to go about it. As I said through obviously this entire video, pros and cons to it, it's nuanced. But if I had it my way, and I know a lot of people will be really mad when I say this, but if I honestly had it my way, and no, I'm not backing down from saying this, I'd have added it as a reward for unlocking all the Shadowbringers relic weapons. Give the people stretch goals. My comment section is going to be very fucking spicy after saying that.